Stars.
You'll see the cops outside this building. It slowed down a lot, but you know, it still has its moments. Victor Blanco, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Grew up in East Flatbush. Look at my neighbor right there being mad, annoying, and nosy. Currently live in Brownsville. Been here for the past, I want to say 20 years now. Yeah,
Alright.
I've been here since I was about 10 years old. It was definitely a rough thing. It's a jungle out here. I remember when I was growing up, when we first moved over here, it was literally gunshots every night, bro. Like, it was wild. Actually, last week, Monday, one of my boys just got killed right on Ralph. He got shot in the head, broad daylight too. So although it has slowed down since I've been younger, it's definitely still pretty wild out here. So for me personally, I grew up in the 90s. 91st and Winthrop was the block I grew up on. Predominantly a very Crip neighborhood. It was just the normal thing to want to be Crip, to act like you was Crip. Everybody around you in the neighborhood was doing it. All the older dudes was doing it. I remember being 10 years old, going to 5th grade with a blue flag on my head, thinking that was the cool thing to do. You know, everybody around me and my surroundings all had that background, so it was just normal for me to grow up and join in and do crazy stuff with them. I would say pretty much through high school was when I kind of gave it up. You know what I'm saying? I was running around with a lot of gang members, doing a lot of crazy stuff. But I realized it wasn't the path for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't knock nobody's hustle. I don't knock anybody for doing what they do. But I knew for me, I had to get out of it because it was getting dangerous. I was either gonna end up in jail or dead. You know, the normal cliche story. So to figure that out, I just started focusing more on school and hanging out with different people that I knew wouldn't be into the gang stuff anymore. So got out of that life. I mean, obviously, I still live in Brownsville, and all my friends are still affiliated. You see my son there with the blue flag on his head. You know, every day it's just a normal thing for us.
Yeah.
You know, so and like I said, I don't knock it. I don't ever knock at anybody. Like I said, I still peace everybody in my hood. That's just the love that I give and that I get. Nowadays, it's cooler to be Crip than it is to be Blood. I remember when I was growing up, Bloods outnumbered us, or Crip people in general. I'm not like gangbanging anymore, but Bloods definitely outnumbered Crip a lot more. So right now, to be honest, it's way cooler to be Crip. You see all the 5-year rappers, the Pop Smoke. Like it's Tap Scott, Union, and Ralph. Those are the 3 main blocks. To be honest, Tap Scott, Union, and Ralph don't necessarily all get along that well. Tap Scott people usually stay on Tap Scott. Union people usually stay on Union, and Ralph usually stays on Ralph. It was a time when we were all really really cool, but that doesn't happen as much anymore. We actually had it was a little beef between Union and Tap Scott about a year ago. It was pretty rough because obviously we only 1 block away. Actually, one of my mans died right on this corner around August of last year. And that was between Tap Scott. He lived on Tap Scott, and the dude we had beef with lived right here on Union. So it was a rough thing to go through. When I got to high school, I started hanging around with other people. I started to realize, like, I mean, it was still some gang people in my high school, but it wasn't as much. And the people I was coolest with just happened to be not into that. So when I got to high school, I went to Brooklyn College Academy, which is kind of far from where I currently live. So the people I started hanging out with wasn't on that type of time, you know what I'm saying? So when I figured that out, I'm like, oh, I don't have to necessarily be on that type of time. That's not normal, you know what I'm saying? I had no idea that I was going to be into technology as I grew older. I did have a passion for it as a kid. You know, whenever somebody had something broken in the house, it was me that was coming to, whether it be an iPhone, a cable box, or whatever the case may be. I started working at Apple around, I want to say 2014, 2015. I didn't take it seriously. I thought it was just going to be a normal job, get in and get out and just collect the check. But after a year, I got promoted to Genius, and I really started to get into it, and I was like, you know what, there's a career in this. So at first, I actually thought I was just going to stay at Apple and become corporate, but then I didn't really like the ladder to get to it in terms of like having to do a 1 to 10 shift the next day and a 12 to 9 or 8 to 5. So, you know, I wanted to get something more corporate. So I randomly got into Snapchat. Actually, an old co-worker of mine from Apple, her name is Shauna. She left Apple, went to Snapchat, and she was leaving for another startup company, and she needed somebody to replace her. She hit me up, was like, yo, we think you might be a good fit for this. So I applied. I had no idea that I was gonna get it. I didn't think I was gonna get it. You know, to be from the hood and be like, yo, I work for Snapchat. never hit. Yo, when I tell people that, they be like, yo, how the fuck does that even work? Like, how do you work for Snapchat? Like, what do you do there? Like, because I've never experienced a corporate office, you know what I'm saying? So for me, when I first got into Snapchat, that was a shock. Like, you hear all these stories of all your coworkers who are obviously predominantly white, going back home to their parents' house and they big pools and they huge mansions and all of this, and you hearing all these stories and you working into it like, huh? Like, nah, I gotta go back to the hood after this. I gotta go back to Brownsville. I just got a man that just died on the corner. I just got a man that just got shot. I just got a man that just got locked up. I didn't understand any of that stuff. And when I would have shared my experiences with them, they were also like, yo, what? Like, to them, that's just that's not normal. And for us, it's the opposite. Like, when they talk about they going skiing and snowboarding, that's not normal for me or anybody in my neighborhood. So I never understood that. So for a year there, I was working on my craft. I was trying to get better in the corporate life and understand how it works. Pretty much reached my cap at Snapchat. Like, I reached my ceiling. I knew that if I wanted to learn more in IT and get better in IT, that I'd have to go somewhere else. I started shopping around and looking for other companies to work for, mostly startups. I actually got recruited by Citizen App on LinkedIn. I went to interview. The people there were just great, genuine. The first day on my actual interview, I met my friend Prince, who obviously you met yesterday or a week ago. One of my closest homies, man. Like, and that, to be honest, sealed the deal for me to work at Citizen, where I knew they had somebody that looked like me, that sounded like me, and was still being able to be professional at the same time. So I knew that at the time Citizen was the right move for me. Obviously at Apple, you only learn Apple stuff. At Snapchat, luckily they usually only use Apple as well, so that was cool. And then Citizen, the same thing, is predominantly Apple based. So it was definitely a smooth transition. I obviously had to learn a lot more other than Apple, in terms of G Suite or Slack and a whole bunch of other apps and company stuff, but it's definitely been pretty cool to do. Actually, right now at Citizen, because I'm the head of IT, it's not so much more hands-on that I'm used to. Like Snapchat, when I worked at Snapchat, I was pretty much a specialist. What would happen is people would bring in their computers, whether it be broken, I would fix it, whether it be physical damage or a software issue, troubleshooting issues like that. Right now, my main consistent is being pretty much admin level on all bases, whether it's resetting passwords or giving people access to certain accounts, stuff like that. I still do troubleshooting in terms of hardware. I still can fix iPhones. If you have a cracked screen, I can probably fix your iPhone in about 10-15 minutes if I had the pieces. But a lot of the stuff I'm working on right now is working on controlling internet. But obviously outside of the office it's a little bit harder. Managing all the devices that we keep in the company. So everyone in the company, obviously, now that we're working from home, everyone has to have their own personal laptop. So I manage all the laptops, make sure everyone is on the right type of internet, make sure no one's any malware or any viruses. When I started Citizen, it was about 70, 80 people in the company. Currently we're about 150, 160, and we doubled. So, or more than doubled, and I'm still the only IT person. So you gotta imagine, when I first started, 70 people, it was just all me, and now I'm still doing the same thing for 140, 150 people right now. On a day-to-day, I'm comfortable. My coworkers understand where I come from now, and they understand how I don't look like the normal IT person. This is how I go to work, or how I used to go to work when the office was open. Every single day, ripped jeans, sneakers, and a t-shirt and a hat. So I obviously don't fit that normal corporate look. And obviously I don't talk like a normal corporate person. So for me, it was a challenge to get into an environment where most of the people don't look like me, don't sound like me, don't dress like me, and don't have the same experiences I have. So for me to go into it and be myself was kind of difficult in the beginning. But I did open up at the end and realize that people weren't judging me, or maybe they do, but they're not doing it to my face. But you definitely have that in the back of your mind every day where I'm at work, where regardless if people seem like they accept me, it's always in the back of my mind like, damn, I probably look like somebody that they wouldn't normally look around and chill with. Like if I was walking down the street in the middle of the night dressed how I was, and one of my coworkers who didn't know me more than likely would probably cross the street, you know what I'm saying? So that's always in the back of my mind, but I never let that stop me from being who I am. I'm always authentic, and I feel like a lot of companies respect that, to be honest. Like even at Apple and Snapchat, I never changed who I was, always talked the same way, kept it 100 no matter what, you know what I'm saying? Yo, not for nothing, you never know. Regardless of how much love you get in your neighborhood or where you're from, you always got to keep your head on the swivel. As I'm wearing a Nipsey shirt, he got killed in his own neighborhood. So regardless of how you think everybody perceives you in your neighborhood, you never understand and you never know what people are actually thinking. So it's always good to stay on 50, stay on your P's and Q's, make sure you're watching everything, watching everybody. But also you don't also want to go out life thinking like everybody's out trying to get you, you know what I'm saying? People right now look at me as the the tech dude, you know, somebody who went off to make it and work for companies like Apple, Snapchat, and Citizen App, startup companies. I'm normally the sneaker dude. I'm always having the nice stuff, so they look at me like that pretty much. But again, I'll go to work one day, hang out with a millionaire, and then the same night I come back and shoot dice on the corner of Union and Sutter. I still live here, and I don't necessarily have to, you know what I'm saying? I make a decent amount where I can move out and go to another neighborhood like Williamsburg or Bushwick or something like that. But I love the fact to still be where I'm from and show kids or even older dudes, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you don't have to do what you're doing to get money or to look fly, to drive a nice car. I'll talk to them for like an hour, like, yo, these are the companies that you need to invest in, like, just based off what I know off of information. So I don't knock nobody hustle. You can be in the streets, you can be getting money how you want. And it's New York, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to live in New York with just a 9 to 5. You need a side hustle. I'm not telling you it has to be illegal or legal, but however you get your money, definitely invest it. You know what I'm saying? Put it back into the community, put it back into your family. Take care of your family as much as you can. Like, all that nice clothes and cars is amazing. Don't get me wrong, I love it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, my main focus is making sure I'm good, making sure my family's good, and the only way to do that is generational wealth, man. A lot of us was born with nothing. My parents ain't have nothing, you know what I'm saying? My parents put in work and grinded to get me a house. You know, I'm blessed that I own this house, you know what I'm saying? Because my parents passed it on to me. But how many other kids that look like me or you can say that they had a house waiting for them, you know what I'm saying? So I want to teach people, like, yo, when you start having kids, the main focus is that you want to worry about how they're going to live after you go. And you want to make sure that their college is paid off. Even if they don't decide to go to college, just have some money for the side of them to invest or go to school and learn something, make a trade. Nipsey is one of my, you know what I'm saying, one of my biggest inspirations. Like, you see where he came from, you see what his background was, and you see what he was preaching. Self-ownership, invest in yourself, stocks, equity, learn all of that, man. That's another thing. We don't get taught any of that. I remember going to school and not knowing. I still don't really know how taxes work. I don't know how a lot of that stuff works. You have to put in the time and understand that, because everybody in this world wants money, but nobody understands how it really works. Why is our money less in more countries than other countries? You want to understand why that happens. You know what I'm saying? You want to understand why you get back what you get back on tax, or why you have to pay back why you're getting extra money for a child that you have. All of this is great to get information on, you know what I'm saying? And it's out there for us. We just got to do the research. I was a spoiled little brat, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I was running the streets a little bit and doing a lot of dumb shit, and I still was able to get what I wanted, get what I needed. So I respect that. So everything I do now, because I don't have no kid, is for my parents, you know what I'm saying? I give my parents as much as they need. Currently, right now, we're the #1 news app in the US, if I'm not mistaken, or at least on Apple. So obviously what's going on in the world between COVID and the protesting and Black Lives Matter, we obviously don't want, you know, what's going on in the world to be going on right now. It's not a good time, but it is doing very good for the business, because keeping people aware of what's going on around them, especially with COVID. I still live in Brownsville, and I know, regardless of how many people that I know and doing whatever they do, you can't control everybody. So everybody at the end of the day in this neighborhood still got a mom that got to go to work and take the train at whether it's 3, 4 a.m. So regardless, if you out here doing the streets, you want to make sure your mom and your pops is safe, you know what I'm saying? So if you may think, yeah, a lot of people come to the pack that are like, yo, I don't need the Citizen app because I'm good, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you are, and that might be true, but you also might have a mom, a grandmother, a aunt, a nephew, a son, a daughter that you want to make sure that they staying protected and stay staying safe. So regardless, if you don't download the app for yourself, do it for people around you that you care about, that you want to know what's going on with them, what's going on around their environment, and want to make sure that they're safe. Because we definitely want to go into more cities, we want to go into more countries, become international, and hopefully we'll get there, you know what I'm saying? And I think we will.